What's up, guys? We're back with Spyderco. We're back with Mike. We're here to cover a couple more knives. Again, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. And again, it's all you.
Awesome. One of my favorite knives in the Spyderco line, and I think one of the most underappreciated knives we have, is the Spyderco Assist model. And this was actually one of the first purpose-designed rescue knives. So when you look out there these days, you see all kinds of rescue knives, knives with glass breakers and seatbelt cutters and all that kind of stuff. This one really kind of established that niche in the market. It was designed by the founder of the company, Southwest.
Oh.
One of the unique things that we have, first of all, I'll go through the features of this, and then I'll show you kind of our latest version of it. Designed for cutting seatbelts primarily. So when you are extracting somebody from a vehicle, if you can't reach the seatbelt to actually release the buckle, if it's jammed for whatever reason, or if you have a military situation where you have somebody with a pack on, somebody who has any kind of equipment, that you have to cut the equipment off of them to be able to render aid. That's what this knife is designed for. So first of all, as far as the blade goes, this one is VG10 stainless steel. And you notice that it has a blunt tip on it. So if you need to slide this up under a seatbelt or something, you can literally press this up against the person, slide it up under, and then be able to cut.
No.
So no danger of accidentally puncturing them. If you're working around flotation gear, this is also nice because you can have a cutting tool that's not going to punch through a raft or something like that. It has a combination edge blade, so you have serrations here, and then you have a small area of plain edge right here. This is really the cutting machine as far as cutting seatbelts and stuff. This allows you to choke up if you do need to do some fine work with it, you can. As far as deploying the knife, it has the Spyderco trademark round hole, but it also has what's called a Cobra hood device. So even with gloves on, very easy to open this one-handed and be able to get it out. Lots of leverage because that rides high above the pivot pin. Now when it comes to cutting seatbelts, I'll let you grab that for a sec.
You put me on the spot here, huh?
Here's a regulation auto seatbelt. Give it a shot.
Oh, wow. That wasn't hard.
How'd that feel?
That was super easy. Man.
Absolutely no effort.
No,
all you got to do is stabilize the belt, and it's going to blow right through very quickly. So the cutting power of Spyderco serrations, we really have put a lot of R&D into the serrations. Spyderco is the first company to put serrations on a folding knife. So we actually pioneered that along with putting a clip on a knife and the Spyderco trademark round hole. We defined a lot of the modern features of a knife. But I think we do serrations better than anybody else, and that kind of is proof of the pudding, you know.
Yeah, that was crazy.
When it comes to the handle, this is actually available in several different handle options. We have a black handle or a bright orange handle with a satin finish. Then we also have an all-black knife for military operations. The orange, of course, is good high visibility, especially if you have this in a black bag. You've searched for black stuff in black bags before, and, you know, felt the special pain of that. It's a back lock mechanism, so it's a very stout lock, and it's completely ambidextrous, so it doesn't matter left or right hand, you can operate it equally well. What's interesting is when you close the knife, a lot of knives have glass breakers on them, carbide glass breaker if you need to breach a window. The problem is if they're in a fixed position, when you reach into your pocket, you typically donate a little bit of blood with that glass breaker. In this case, the glass breaker is actually enclosed in the handle, so when you squeeze the closed blade, glass breaker is spring loaded, it extends. When you don't need it, you let go and it's gone.
Wow.
So there's no danger of you accidentally scratching up your hand when you need it. You simply grip it, squeeze, break the glass.
Anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So it's very consistent with what you would normally do to be able to operate the tool. If you need to self-rescue, let's say you're in a situation where you need to call attention to yourself or signal in some way, it also has a high-pitched whistle built into the handle, so you can actually use the whistle to, again, self-rescue.
Yeah.
The clip is a wire clip, and it's reversible left or right side carry. So again, that makes the operation of the knife completely ambidextrous. But one of the coolest things about it, a lot of people who work as first responders, who work around rescue stuff, they also work with rope. So this is 3/4 inch manila rope. You've cut stuff like this before, it's pretty stout. So typically you're going back and forth, and certainly the serrations on this blade would do the job very well, but this does it even quicker. Okay, so all you're doing there has a hesitation notch on the blade. You simply raise the blade to about 45 degrees, place that rope in there, make sure all your parts are out of the way, squeeze, and it snips right through. And if you smoke cigars, you can probably figure out the other application for this function. Okay, so one of the most multifunctional, one of the most amazing knives, I think, that Spyderco's produced. You think, well, how could you make that better?
We'll find out.
There you go.
Yep.
So this is VG10 stainless steel. The blade is very corrosion resistant, but in a saltwater environment, stainless steel simply means that it has typically 13% or more chromium. So for an average level of carbon, you put 13% of chromium in it, it's stainless. The trick there is stained less. okay? Doesn't mean that it won't stain at all, doesn't mean that it won't corrode. It's just less vulnerable to it. This you can soak in salt water and it won't rust. This is called H1 steel. H1 is a steel that is made with nitrogen instead of carbon. So when you add carbon to iron, you get steel. Unfortunately, carbon also reacts with chloride to make rust. In this case, we add trace amounts of nitrogen to the iron, and now what you've got is a material that has properties very similar to steel, but it's completely impervious to rust. You can soak it in salt water, it'll never rust. What's interesting about it also is it is an austenitic steel. So typically, when you take a steel and you make it into a knife blade, you have to heat it up to critical temperature and then quench it. That's the hardening process. The second process is tempering, where you heat it to a lower temperature to draw some of the hardness out, so it's not like a razor blade. You want it to be a little bit more flexible, a little more durable. An austenitic steel, like H1, work hardens. So what happens is, when they cut this out and they start grinding it, this area in the back doesn't receive a whole lot of abrasive contact during the machining process. So this stays soft and tough. This area with the bevels here is going to be ground more, so there's more of an abrasive process. It creates micro stresses in the steel that hardens it. So it's actually going to be harder here than it is here. And then the serrated edge is actually the hardest, the best cutting edge that Spyderco produces. So serrations on H1 doesn't get any better than that. That tests best in our scientific testing as far as cutting ability. So now what you've got is all the functionality that you have in the traditional assist model, everything else that you looked at as far as the carbide glass breaker, the whistle, the rope cutting feature, everything else. The only thing it does not have is the Cobra hood. And the reason for that is we can't really thread this steel to mount that device, but it doesn't really matter. You can still open it very well. But you still have all that functionality, plus it's 100% rust proof.
Man, well, you sold me on it. The question is this still in production at all, or is this completely replacing this?
Nope, this is still in production. So you can still get this in this version with the satin finish blade and the orange handle. You can get it satin finish blade and a black handle. You can also get it with a black blade and black handle. So if you're in a military environment where light discipline is an issue, you need something non-reflective, you still have all those functions, but you also have something that fits that environment. And then for pure marine application, the yellow handle, again, high visibility and all the benefits of H1 steel. It's the Assist in H1 or the Assist Salt. There's all the knives that we have a number of different knives available with the H1 steel. They're all part of our Salt series.
So what are the price points on these?
That's a great question.
Can you spitball it?
What I would say, I know that this one retails around 140 to 150.
That's not bad at all.
I don't recall the exact retail price on this one.
Go on your website.
If you go to Spyderco.com, as soon as this one is available, it'll be listed there. I apologize, I don't have that information.
You can't purchase it now?
This one is going to be available. We should be taking delivery on this toward the end of first quarter of this year.
Have you found something this thing can't cut yet?
Not yet.
Not yet? Man, it's crazy.
Not yet.
I would never thought I could do that. Well, I appreciate your time, Mike. This has been absolutely amazing. I appreciate it.
Thank you for your interest. We appreciate it. Thank you guys for watching.
Thanks, guys.